Hi, Karen here, and today we're going to talk about client onboarding. Client onboarding is a process your user goes through when discovering your software. The aim is to make it easier for users to get the grips with the tool and discover its features without getting too lost. Setting up a client onboarding process involves improving time to value, the time it takes to your user to understand the value of your product, reduce customer support workload, because a user who understands the tool is a user who will ask less questions. Reduce the churn rate, because a user who understands the value of your product and who doesn't encounter a problem when registering is a user who is likely to be satisfied and therefore to convert and to be loyal. So I'm going to show you how to create a good client onboarding, and for it to be the best for your tool, the best thing is of course to customize it for your domain and for your tool so that it totally corresponds to your case. First, you need to understand your customers' needs and goals. The more you know about your customers' needs, the better you'll be able to guide them through the discovery of your tool. Frankly, the best way to succeed at this step is to meet your customers, or your potential customers if you don't have some yet. So for example, if you have CEOs and sales using your tool, they won't use it the same way. So it's important to make sure that all use cases are clearly identified so that each persona feels supported by your onboarding process. So for example, you can contact customers one by one or search for people corresponding to your personas on LinkedIn. And you just need to prepare a survey to answer to in order to identify each persona's problems and goals. After the first step, you're supposed to know what your personas want from your tool. So let's imagine that someone has registered on your tool or bought it if you don't have a free version. Now they need to discover your tool through a fluid and pleasant experience. If the experience is a headache, your user may never come back. You could call it a pre-stage since it's before registration, but think about presenting your main features on your product before the user registers. For example, for us, you can see our main features directly on our landing page. And if you don't go on the landing page, but directly try to download the tool, you still have access to our main features that we show on Chrome Store. It's very simple, but it reminds the prospect how you can help them. So once the customer has signed up, I advise you to start with the welcome message on their interface and by email. Don't forget to personalize it. Normally you have access to the first name and last name variable really easily, and it's a plus. Actually, the user will feel more understood and recognized if you add their first name or last name. It's a little trick, but it works. By the way, on your welcome email, I also advise you to provide clear information on how to contact your customer support. This way, the user can easily contact the support if they have an issue directly on their registration. And clearly, if finding the customer support is already tough when you're signing up, you're going to lose a potential customer. And finally, whether it's in the email or the interface itself, prepare a short summary of the steps to follow. This way, they know where they stand in the discovery of your software. Also, this has a gamifying effect, so people feel like they are in a game, and it motivates them to want to complete all the steps. And what's more, you enlighten them. They're not in the dark about the next steps. See the first step? It's a bit like that too. Given that you have several targets, you need to understand each of them so that you can serve them in the best way possible. So to find out what type of person you're dealing with, it's best to start with their short survey. So the person has just registered or paid, and now you want to know who has joined your database. This will enable you to improve your tool while knowing how best to serve them. So like all surveys, it's important to keep it short. So we're talking about just a few questions. And that's okay because this is all we need. So here are a few questions if you don't have ideas. What's your job or field? How will you use the tool? What experience do you have with software in your sector? What are your objectives? What are your key success indicators? 5 questions is already a lot, so you need to choose carefully. The questions must be relevant to your tool and to your domain. For example, we are a prospecting automation tool, so we have a question to know about the level of experience in prospecting automation tool. To facilitate the customer experience, use mostly questions where the user has to pick one answer in a list. And to provide the list, you can use the answer that people gave you on the first step of your onboarding process. If you don't know how to create dynamic and creative surveys, you can use Typeform. It's a nice tool. Next, you'll need to analyze the results. If I go back to our example, the answer tells us how much we need to simplify our tool. Actually, we realized that the majority of our clients are people who are really beginners in prospecting automation tools. So we can't afford to make the tool too complicated. Actually, our goal is to simplify it again and again so that anyone can use our tool easily. And their answer made us take decisions we wouldn't think we would have taken. We have users who are experts in prospecting campaigns and who would like to create them from A to Z. But this is something we can't do. Even though we would like to do this feature, we can't make it because it will be too tough for the majority of our clients. And so we would risk losing the majority of our clients. That's why this survey can help you a lot to understand more your clients and to help you take decisions you wouldn't have taken. If you've done a great job showing the following steps, the user is normally attentive and knows what to expect. So you can start explaining how your tool works. Even if the user is ready to discover your tool, it's not a reason to give them too much information at once. The aim is to go slowly, step by step, gradually and in a logical way. If you go in a structural and logical way in the details of your product, your user will realize that your tool isn't that complicated. What's more, you're bound to have users that understand less or more your tool easily. So you will have users who will want less or more details on your features. That's why the best thing to do is to introduce your features step by step, while providing examples and use case of similar users, providing tips and tricks to help customers discover best practices. This is for those who find it hard to understand. You can leave them external links with the keywords, case study, use case, tips, and they will click on them. By training them to use the tool, you help them understand what is the benefit of your tool for them. Because if they don't understand your tool properly, they won't understand the points. For customers who want to know more, similarly, you can provide external links to resources that might be helpful for in-depth understanding. In both cases, I advise you to dedicate blog articles and tutorial videos to help customers. Some users don't like written or oral exchanges, so if you give them the choice to be self-taught with your videos and blog articles, they will take it. You can even directly offer online training to show them the best workflow to adopt. Once your client has completed all the steps you show them, you need to find out how effective your client onboarding is. The best solution is to ask them directly. You can send out satisfaction survey after the onboarding by email, but generally they will have very little time to devote to you. So long surveys are out the window. You will have to do your best copywriting and only select 3 or 4 questions. It's already a lot. It's up to you to decide what you'd like to know. Bear in mind that the answers should tell you whether your onboarding process is relevant and why. You can also use customer feedback on the tool to continually improve your onboarding process. We're talking about Google reviews, G2, Capterra, the social medias, everywhere where you can find reviews. Above all, you need to regularly evaluate the effectiveness of your onboarding process, but also of your survey. As your product evolves, you'll need to make adjustments to the stages accordingly. Your client has completed your onboarding process and has answered to your survey. Now what? We build loyalty. I have seen some companies who let their customers on the side once they completed their onboarding process. But just because someone has completed the onboarding process doesn't mean they don't need you anymore. And all too often, the user doesn't tell us they still need us. Unfortunately, a user experiencing issues but not talking about it is one of the biggest churn rates of SaaS solutions. So if you don't want this user who pays every month for your tool to leave, you're gonna have to understand them and to solve their issue before it happens. First of all, you need to simplify the way they can get in touch with you. They need to be able to speak to your customer support really easily. You can use a chat tool like Intercom, which you can implement on your landing page and in your tool. It's super easy to access and to use, and you can create a help center in it to help your customers. That's what we did. We used this tool and it works so great. Also, you can send inbound messages automatically to check out how they're going. For example, if a customer stays for too long on the Help Center page, you can set up the tool to send a message to know how it's going, if there's an issue, how you can help them. You can also ask Intercom to send a specific resource if a user is on a specific page. So this is really great to help your customers. Also, in general, I would advise you to regularly ask for feedback and comments to prevent future problems. You can also do some email marketing and send regular tips to keep educating them on how to get the most out of your tool and show them that you're still there if they need you. And finally, you can provide regular updates on your new functionalities and improvements with emailing and newsletter. This will keep your users up to date, trained, and not lost with your new features. Because even if you update your onboarding process for the new customers when you have new features, your former customers won't be able to know the new features without you explaining them what it is. So you have to be very careful. Well, I think you know everything. If you like the video, consider subscribing. It's always a pleasure. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm waiting for you in the comment section below. See you soon for more videos.